Hi everyone. In just a second, I'm going to be introducing author Emily Belden, and her newest book called Hot Mess was released yesterday. And I love this book so much. I laughed out loud in so many spots. It was so good. I can't wait to talk to her about it. I love books that make me laugh because I read so many serious books and especially a lot of thrillers lately. So when I get a book that just makes me laugh, I didn't want it to end. It was a really, really good story. Debut novel. She does have another book out. We're going to talk about that and talk about how she published it. But I can't wait. So here is Emily. Hi everyone, I am so excited to be speaking with author Emily Belden, and we're going to be talking about her brand new novel, Hot Mess. I loved this book, Emily. I am so excited that we get to talk about it. It just came out yesterday, too.
Yep.
Which is so exciting.
So amazing.
It's so amazing. Now, I was a little confused because if you go on Amazon, the 86th book that you wrote, that came out in the beginning of March?
No, that came out, so it was re-released right before the book came out.
Okay. So it was a re-release. That was your first book, and then but that was like a biography. This is your debut novel, right?
That's correct, yep. So 86 is a memoir that I wrote about kind of dating and figuring things out in Chicago. Obviously, there's a little bit of a food component in there as well. It came out about 3 years ago, and then it was re-released right before Hot Mess came out, so that the end of 86 actually has the first chapter of Hot Mess. So,
okay.
Yeah, so you get a little extra with that version, and it kind of makes you want to read more a little bit. So.
Well, I wish I would have read it because I laughed so loud. Everybody was looking at me because I had it on my Kindle. Okay. And they're like, what are you looking at? I'm like, I'm reading this book. It's so funny. I love when I read funny books because I read so many thrillers, historical fiction, thriller. There's so many thrillers out right now. So it's like such a nice, to get a book that you're just going to laugh through. And, you are such a good author. You're such a good writer. Oh, my God. I did not want this book to end. Okay. I was like, I had to give Allie up.
I know. I always say, it's funny, I always say, I love this book, and I'm like, oh, it's so good, and it feels so weird saying that, but I would love this book and not want it to end even if I didn't write it. I just love this story. And as an author that's working on another book, I can tell you that one is much harder to write, much longer process. It's not as easy. So to look back at Hot Mess, it makes me appreciate it even more because I'm like, oh, that book was so easy to write and the words just flew off my fingertips, and it's just one of those rare books that story is just so tight.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And I want to pull up, everybody's going to see up on the screen the cover because it'll show before we talk. But I just want to show this cover if I can get a good picture of it because I love the cover so much. I mean, I don't know, especially as you're reading it, just to look at the cover, it's so perfect,
Yeah. Well, and the book, the cover art is actually kind of a funny thing because it took a very long time to get to that iteration. This book was actually originally titled Randolph Street, which is the street in the book where the restaurant is. Then it was changed to Burned, and the cover art was initially developed with that title, and it looked completely different. I can't even. It was a 180. It was so different, and it wasn't coming together. It just wasn't right for the character, for the storyline, and finally HarperCollins decided that it's probably due to the title that they're having trouble breaking away from that literal kind of burned and fire and flames, things like that. So we retitled it again, third time's the charm, Hot Mess, and the artwork there was multiple options that would have been great, and this is the clear winner, but it was just it just came together. It was perfect. We knew right away. That's it.
I'm sure when you saw that, it was like,
that's it.
And the title. And the title.
Everything. The fonts, the title, the only tweak we made to this version was that we did the little pots and pans that are hanging in the background there, that was the only thing that we added. Otherwise, the original was, there was none of that, just
I
the
love
brick.
when you guys point stuff out that I don't even see.
Yeah. So just those pots that are hanging up behind the pull quote from Abby, that was the only addition. Otherwise, this was a slam dunk.
That is awesome. Because you look at the print and then you don't look at the background as much, but it's right there. It's so good.
The little things.
The little things. Yes, the little things. But okay, so as I'm reading the beginning of, and I'm going to give you my favorite quote in a second, as soon as I tell you, like, I was raised around addicts of all kinds. Like, my parents were just, but I was raised, I'm 53. Okay, so in the 70s and 80s, nobody really understands addicts. So you don't realize that you're being raised by these crazy people, okay?
Right.
Because they seem totally normal because they're your
Yeah.
parents. So when I was reading it, I was like, you just hit it. Like,
yeah.
You got it so good. And I'm sure there's a backstory. I'm sure you know what you're talking about because I felt like my mom in later years, but my dad was addicted to all kinds, not Coke because that wasn't a thing anyway in the 70s. That wasn't big. He drank alcohol, but he did prescription and marijuana, pot, or whatever. I mean, but it's not just getting that. It's like that, getting that addiction personality down on Benji. You got him, like, you nailed him, his thought process. And I was like, oh my God, how did she know? Like, that is so scary. So I'm going to read you my favorite quote it made me stop and write this down because this is absolutely perfect. It says, everything he likes, he loves. Everything he hates, he abandons. Everything he wants, he needs now, or better, yesterday. And most days, what he wants is to talk to me all the time.
Yeah.
Because the addiction isn't about, now Benji was addicted to Coke, but it's not about just like Coke. It's like, it's how
the
they
personality.
Live. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how addicting their personality is. I felt for Allie because I understand what it feels like to be attached to, like thinking that kind of love is love.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and addicts are extremely lovable people. They're very smart. They're manipulative and not always in a bad way. They're creative. They are usually very talented, and all of those things for somebody that really just loves the concept of love, wants to be in love, is a committed partner. When you're dealing with that coming at you, you want that, and you think that that's love, and you think that this is great, and it feels good to be wanted, and all of that kind of thing. So It's a complicated situation for the addict, and it's a complicated situation for the person that he or she is with that's not an addict. It's just an easy but also very destructive pattern to fall into.
Yeah, and it makes me understand. That's why I want to read their book, 86, your memoir, because now I get, like, because of reading Allie's story, I understand that guys that came on me like that in my single years, like, I understand why I was so attractive, because I don't know, because it's like you said, it's so attractive, and they're interesting people, and then they're so into you, and then you're like,
so
I must be that amazing.
Yeah. And I felt like for somebody that is in that age range, you go through so many guys and bad dates and bad relationships to stumble upon someone like Benji, who's just like, check, all these boxes. You kind of, it makes you like gloss over some of the more scary or red flag. They're not so bad because of X, Y, and Z, great quality about them, how much they love you, how talented they are, how everyone is into them. I mean, all of it gives you blinders, and I think Allie had some blinders on.
But I love how you gave her, though, a voice. Like, she was really battling that voice in her head that was like, wait a second, wait. Like, she, because I've been there, and it's like a battle. It's like, it doesn't feel, it's like, oh, this is so awesome, but then it doesn't, like, you don't know what it is, but it's that thing that just doesn't feel like it's right. Or that, eventually that they're lying, or, you're just like, no, they're telling me the truth. Look at them. They're so looking me in the eye, telling me the truth.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, because Allie knew that she herself was not an addict, and she herself was not, in such disarray, that she could control this. Allie could get in there, and Allie could set him on the straight and narrow. any sort of red flags, she could overcome those. And I think that's kind of a common thought that people have. That she could almost treated it like a project in a sense. Like,
Yes.
I can do my job. I'm a responsible adult. I have my own apartment. I pay my bills. I can do Benji. I can do this. I can handle this. But obviously that's not something that she can actually stay in the ring with,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
we find out.
And yeah, as you find, and the red flag, like for me, when I was reading it, like that really, it was like she didn't understand, the way you wrote her, it's like she didn't understand, but the red flag was when, like, his persistent texting, and then when he says in this one text something like, I can do this for you. And anyone who knows anything about addiction, like if they say that, especially early on in their, like he was very early on, only a couple of months, that it's like, no, you can't, like,
No.
I can't be, and she had to learn. But I mean, I was like, when I read that, I was like, right, you got it, because that's not, I knew it wasn't going to go well for him.
Right. Well, and I think too, one of the challenges in writing this is that, we all kind of know that this can't end well, but Allie doesn't know that right away.
Right.
And when I have readers read along, I had to write it in a way where you don't necessarily know that yet either.
Right.
I wanted my readers to kind of fall for Benji. I wanted them to get Benji'd in a sense. And so there was a lot of work that I had to do to build Benji up and kind of get people to understand the allure,
the attraction,
the attraction, and how someone who's smart and stable like Allie could fall for this and actually do this, with him and for him and whatnot. So that was a challenge, and it was something that I think was done very well, considering people like yourself and many others who read this book have touched addiction, especially in the industry. And have come out to say the same thing. Like, this really hit the nail on the head, or I felt like I could very much relate to this. So there's a level of authenticity there, which was a challenge, but we got there.
Yeah, and I really loved how you made her girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of us have those, when you start telling them about a guy and they're like, I don't know.
Right.
And then she starts lying, like building him more up than what, just to be like, okay, but no, you don't understand. And they're like, and then she had to get to the point where she couldn't tell.
Well, I think too, the other thing about Benji is he's not some loser kind of bum on the street. He's extremely talented. He is in the limelight. He is shirtless in the magazines. Everyone knows him. Everyone wants to be him, be with him. And so, it's a different conversation when your friends come to you about him, because on one hand, the friends were like, wow, this is the coolest thing ever. Our friend is dating this amazing guy. But also having that concern and raising those red flags. So it is an interesting dynamic with the friends for sure.
Yeah. Well, I love the ending, and we don't talk about the ending, but, I love the way you ended it. And I like I said, I just loved her. And I love that the times when I found myself laughing weren't just dialogue. Like, it was in these different times of, even like in descriptions and like, I don't know, you'd put stuff in parentheses, like, remember, like, at.
Right.
Like,
I think one of the things about me and the way that I write, and, like the memoir is a good testament to this, is I'm an extremely voice-driven writer. So I write the way that I talk.
Yes.
So everything is as if I took you to coffee and I'm like, listen to this. Right. That's the way that I write. And I think that's a pretty rare thing. I don't read many books like that, but I like to read stuff that's completely different than anything I can do. So I like the thrillers and I like that kind of thing. But I think that's what's so grippy about the book too, is that there's really serious undertones in here, but then you kind of like find yourself laughing or find yourself relating, and you're like, that's the trick with the voice-driven writing.
Yeah, I love that, because she'd be like, well, I don't like this, but then she's like, but remember, I did do this.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I loved it. I thought that was awesome. But okay, so the book is centered in Chicago around the food industry. You are a food journalist, so you get around all these restaurants and look at you, like you don't weigh 300 pounds.
I used to do a lot more, but I am going to start picking it up, I think, once some of the book stuff starts to calm back down. But I really am very interested in the food scene here. I think it is an incredible talent that people have. Of course, my favorite foods are still like Jimmy John's and Shake Shack and things like where you can get in and out quickly and it's, fast food garbage. But when I'm in the mood for something kind of more special, I think that the dining industry here is like such a treat. It's an experience. It is a place where you can turn your phone off, except for if you're taking a nice Instagram, but you can just unplug and focus on somebody's talent. It's like somebody created this, and instead of them just putting a burger on a bun, they made this beautiful thing, and it's something I cannot do. And so I just have such an adoration for those kinds of talents, and I like to write about it, and I like to experience it.
Yeah, I was in Chicago a couple of years ago, and I took my kids, and we discovered this restaurant called Yoke.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
We kept going, like, we were going to do all these different, because they like breakfast, we were going to do all these different breakfast places.
Yeah.
We kept going back to that place. And I was
it's
like,
delicious.
And I'm in Pennsylvania. We're diners.
Yeah.
Breakfast is diners. But it was like, I don't know, it was so good that we just stuffed ourselves until, dinner. So I think it's in Chicago. It's like, and I'm about 45 minutes north of Philly. So I go into Philly sometimes, but it was just different. I mean, not just the pizza, it was really kind of different. There were really good restaurants there.
Yeah.
So
it's incredible. And I live now in the West Loop, which is the neighborhood that the book takes place in.
Yeah, I was going to say, I even know where that is. So,
Exactly. And so I haven't always lived here. I specifically moved here this last year. After the majority of the book had been written, we were just sort of revising at that point, but something in me really wanted to live where I envisioned this book taking place. The characters in this book, it's like, they're so grippy that sometimes it's hard for me to accept that they don't exist in the real world.
Right.
That once you close the book, they're not going off to doing their daily lives. I know that sounds crazy, but, people feel like they're real people in these real situations, and I wanted to be where I felt like this happened. So I'm lucky enough now to live I walk my dog past Randolph Street, on Randolph Street every single day, and I just kind of soak it all in and just imagine. So
yeah, and that's what cool. I kept waiting. Allie's getting all this good food, and I kept waiting for her to get fat.
Yeah, no, it definitely happens. So.
So it was funny. But anyway, and you also do social media marketing, which is huge right now. I have a daughter that's in marketing, and she's doing a lot at Penn State, and she's doing a lot of the social media because it's getting so big.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah. That was my job before I kind of shifted into full-time writing, and I still do freelance work. I still do copywriting. I take on occasional projects every now and then if it's something that personally interests me. Right. So I've been working with some really creative clients and in the travel industry, and I worked with Harley Davidson for a while. So just things that are fun and really a good shift sometimes with the long form writing that I do. It's nice to sometimes just think in so far as a tweet or a Facebook post. It's a good shift in my brain power, and it keeps my writing skills sharp between rounds of editing.
Yeah, because I could tell in the book that you did have a social media, because it was all very more than I know. And, it's like with social media, it's changes. Every time you think you say something, figure it out. It's like, and then there's new platforms and there's new, and I got to just stick to some of the things that I know, but it just is not, it's never stays the same for very long,
Yeah, it's a totally different landscape. I mean, growing up in the age of social media is a very crazy time. So
yeah. I'm really happy they didn't have it when I was in high school, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. I just came back from a weekend in Mexico, and I had no service except for in the room, but who's staying in the room when you're in Mexico? Right. So, I left my phone behind, and for 4 days, it was just amazing. Of course, coming back to it with the following day being the pub date for Hot Mess was insane. I went from zero service to nonstop yesterday.
I bet when you hooked back in, it was
it was literal insane. I have not been that exhausted in forever, but it was so fun. It felt like my birthday or something. It was it was just such a great day.
Yeah,
exactly.
Birthday, right? Okay, so you have another book coming out called Husband Material. And when is that coming out?
So it's slated for sometime in 2019. There is no pub date on it yet.
Okay.
This book is still voice driven, so you're gonna read it and kind of laugh along with it and things like that. But it is a much more complex plot.
Hmm.
There's things in it that are not. I mean, there's things in Hot Mess that have some autobiographical components to them. I did date a chef when I was in my younger 20s. I live in Chicago. I mean, I have experience with these
Right.
certain things that made writing it very easy. Husband Material is a big departure from that. It's based off of an idea that I got after listening to a news story. It was like, oh, that would be a really interesting book idea, but there's no like personal element to it. So it's much harder to write. It's fun. Of course, I love that challenge, but it is, it's involving a lot of research. It's involving a lot of beta readers, a lot of check-ins. The process is just it's just much different. Not a bad thing, but it's
Right.
definitely, it makes me appreciate the way that I wrote Hot Mess so much more. I mean, that just flew off my fingers. And
Yeah.
this is like, I really need to think about the plot twists and the turns and things like that. It's not a thriller, but it's just more complex.
Right. I could really tell that with Hot Mess. It just seemed like it just flowed.
So
Right.
easy.
Right.
Easy
I mean,
breezy.
you can almost tell, as I'm
Yep.
reading it, that it was just like, you get in the zone
Mm-hmm.
and it was just flowing out of you. So,
Yep. Yep.
well, I'm so happy that I got to meet you. And I want to show everybody the cover one more time. I'm going to have all of your links listed
Cool.
below. But there it is, Hot Mess. Just came out yesterday. I'm seeing it all over Instagram and Facebook, and you have so many fans out there, and which must make you so happy with this
It
new
does.
book.
It makes me so happy because, like I said, I write like I'm sitting across from you at the coffee shop, and I know that's not possible with every single person, but to write in that way is to connect on a human level, and it's such a cool thing. Such a cool thing.
And just to know that there are all those like book reviewers and everybody that are so backing you.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
I've always been warned like don't read your reviews, and I kind of never really do. But I like my publicist will check in or so and so will be like, wow, this was an amazing, like these people are just amazing, amazing, amazing reviews. So I'm like, knock on wood, that is so touching to me. It's such a validation when you put your work out into the world and someone just says, this is a 5-star, 110% referral, like this, you've got to read it. It's such a moment for you as an author. It's such a moment.
Yeah, and everything, I read the same thing, and all my book reviewers are like, read this, because they get advanced copies, and they're like, read this book, and so I read it as quickly as I could. I'm like, okay,
Good.
yes, I get it, I understand why you think I should read it. So, and they're so gracious over there, because they'll just, on Instagram, they just promote, and, I love being a part of that. I think it's a great community over there.
I was gonna say, the community is unlike any other, truly.
It's like we all like communicate through books. Our lives are like through books.
That's exactly it. It's definitely, as an author, I notice it because I don't get a ton of time to read for leisure.
Right.
So the people that do just read and read and read and review and pass along, it's like, oh my gosh, like I bow down. That's amazing.
Yeah, they are amazing. So I am so happy that I got to talk with you, and let me know. I mean, it must be really good to get all this too as you're writing your new one. It's like, all that validation. Like
it is. Okay. It's like I got to do it again. No pressure, but
no pressure.
It's fun.
No pressure, but everybody's waiting for the next one. So
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you.
We will definitely talk when your next one comes out. You know where to find me.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a great
night.
You. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
So much for watching Emily and I. Wasn't she fun? This book is as fun as she was, and I am so happy that I got to read her book. I'm so happy that people pointed me her way, because she is an amazing writer. And for this basically being her debut novel, I mean, her other book, like she said, was a memoir, but for a debut novel, it's just amazing. So thank you, Emily. And like I said before, all of Emily's links will be listed below, and I'll see you guys soon.